I'm in the shadow. Good morning. Okay. Hi. It is Wednesday morning, May the 5th. It's 10 o'clock, and this is Linda Pearl at One Quilting Circle. I'm glad to have you back with me again today. And boy, haven't we had a few things hit us from left field in the last couple of hours about the calendar and things that are changing and things that are coming up differently that I wasn't expecting. Last night, I got a very unexpected notice about maybe 7:30. Kathy, hi, I'm in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I'm pleased to have you here. The notice that came out that QuiltCon, which was a February 2021 event on our calendar, is going virtual. I think in my mind, I had thought that once we got through the fall, that we would kind of start to see a uptick again in what we see as a traditional quilt show calendar with events and such like that. So QuiltCon kind of made me like sit up and take notice and go, oh, okay, not so fast. I think it might be a matter of where people come from, where their experiences are. At this point in the calendar, from sitting where I am in southern New Hampshire, we are seeing up through Bayberry, which was the Cape Cod show, which is a very well-known and well-established destination show I think that was August, has been canceled. Since that time, Mancuso has deferred the World Quilt Show, which had moved to Springfield. That's now been deferred. And now we're into what would be the beginning of the fall season. Quilt Market has come out and said for Spring Market, they're going to a virtual format, which will occur at the beginning of June for people in the trade and things like that. Quilt Festival, which is the retail side of the show circuit, is still scheduled as of right now to be in Long Beach in July. And Quilt Market, Quilt Festival are still scheduled as of right now in Houston. I kind of think we're going to be doing virtual shows for a while. For me to go to Houston, leave money aside for a moment, I'd have to get on an airplane, at least one, possibly two. I'd have to stay in a hotel. We'd be talking a hall. We'd be talking a number of restaurants and talking with people and all that. And as much as that appeals to the side of me that is a get-out social butterfly, dialing it all the way back, I want to hug my grandkids. And that's the sum total of, that's the box that I'm in, and I want everybody that I know and love to stay healthy, including myself and my husband, and I want to be able to hug my grandkids. So I think this is more, I don't know that I see this as a temporary interruption. This might be a whole new landscape that we're looking at and seeing. Part of that was last night, just before I found the QuiltCon announcement on my Facebook feed, I saw that Tula Pink had released a video that it's actually pretty in depth. It's more than I think it's a 25-minute watch, but it's a really interesting introduction to her newest fabric line that'll be shipping later this fall, the name of which escapes me at the moment. But it is a black and white line. It's Tula Pink, so there's a little color sprinkled in, but it's primarily a black and white line using some of the motifs and some of the jumping off points. But it really gave an opportunity to understand her design process, her thought process, how the fabric is set up so that when you have an ombre, it goes from one selvage halfway up, stops in the middle, and reverses its way down, so that a shop owner can actually cut two separate pieces of that to get a fat quarter bundle out of it, so that you're not losing the integrity of the line of fabric. And it was a really interesting to me introduction to her thought process in terms of how things meld together and how it would be a complement to some of her larger lines and such like that. And I found it a really interesting introduction because I'm kind of at the point where, okay, I go into a quilt shop and I see and I pat all the pretty fabric, or truthfully, I turn around and see all the fabric that I've already owned. But this is sort of an introduction to how a designer looks at it, markets it, and talks to potential shop owners when they go to a trade event or they go to market. From there, the shop owners decide what is going to work for their customer base and what they're going to buy and bring in and come into the quilt shops. So it was a really interesting introduction to her thought process and her product line. I have a few of her pieces. I've not really gotten into a lot of it. Good morning, January. Welcome. But that's kind of very different. And so that kind of video content is going to really become the hallmark of what we're doing and how we're going through this experience. Because I think it's going to be that way for a lot longer than we think it is. If you're looking at the big shot of color in the back, that is I'm working through Chris Poor's Spring Ahead quilt along that she's doing. Chris is a former guildmate of mine. She's also a local quilt designer. I've never had an opportunity to take a class with her. I'm doing it because I wanted to play with color and I thought that this would be fun. I also wanted an opportunity to sort of see how a quilt along is actually run from the point of view of this might be something that I'm going to be jumping on and doing a little bit later this year as well. And it's really interesting because Chris came up with this idea, and it can do it in a number of different variations for it. I've seen scrappy blocks. I've seen a control palette block. I really wanted to play with the whole idea of doing a color wash, and it's designed with the idea that you can do it based on if you have jelly rolls. I don't have jelly rolls, but I have a big, embarrassingly big tub of strips that I have cut over the years, and I have gotten to the point that before this all happened, I put all the orange strips together in one bag, and I put all of the off-color strips. So I went to the idea of using this because it's perfectly sized and using up some of my strips, which is how we had 500 strips exploded in my sewing room on Sunday afternoon, and I completely had a meltdown because that was too many choices, too much of a thing. So I really kind of had to sit back and say, there's too many choices. I can't kind of do this. I need to really sit back and kind of edit the palette down, figure out how to take her instructions, which are written for a jelly roll, and adapt it to my strips, some of which are width of fabric, some of which are smaller than width of fabric, and I still wanted to play. I've gotten 5 of the blocks behind me. The 6th one is on my sewing table. Now that I've sort of figured it out, it's a little like a potato chip. I keep wanting to do the next one and the next one and the next one. And this is probably going to wind up being a very versatile pattern that I will do over and over again. I can see this coming to be my family room quilt. I can also see this being a great quilt for each of my grandchildren, the ones I want to hug, because this is a highly repeatable pattern, which is a great thing like that. So this gave me an opportunity to throw a little bit of color up on the wall and get it off the floor. The last time I sent Chris a photograph of it on the floor, it actually had my toes in it, which isn't, I'm like, okay, ignore the toes, but this is where I'm going with this. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a 20 piece of it. And Chris is doing a great job. She's a wonderful teacher. She's doing a great job with the quilt along. I'm enjoying a lot of it. I'm learning a lot about me and color. For all of my different bags that I had, I didn't have a bag of orange, and I couldn't figure out why. And it is because I had blues and greens and pinks and off-whites, a ridiculous number of off-whites. But I had used up all of my orange strips when I did the On Ringo Lake quilt, and I'm like, okay, I know I have the fabric. I just have to kind of get with it. So this is going to be something that I'll be playing with. It'll be a great sample quilt when I get back to being able to teach and do my ruler quilts with the Angela Walters rulers, because I can see a lot of different variations that I can play with that, and it will be fun to be able to take it out and look at it. And it's a scrap quilt, and who doesn't love that? So that's kind of what's going on with that. I want to also tell you that another digital resource that I have found, and I like to share what I find with other people, is I am a huge, huge fan over on YouTube of Karen Brown. Karen is currently the president of the Toronto Modern Quilt Guild. She does a site called Just Get It Done Quilts. Karen looks like me. She actually might be part of the inspiration between me just jumping on and swimming with this whole Facebook Live nonsense, because she is not, she has adult children. I'm going to just put it that way, like I do. She puts out very high quality content. She is very high production value. She's somebody that I learn from her when I watch her videos. I watch for them when they come out. And she put one out this morning. She has become a featured quilter with Make Modern magazine, and she is going to be a Make Modern magazine is going to actually be giving away an opportunity, giving away a copy of the magazine that she's featured in if you go on that. So in the bottom of the links below on this video, I will put the link to her YouTube channel, because it's really amazing. What's even more amazing is I have now figured out that I can watch YouTube on my TV set. Thank you, Comcast. And I can actually see Karen, and when she gets into some of the detail works that she's doing, I can really see it, and she's a lot of fun that I get to watch. I'll also give you the link to how you get the copy of the free magazine, which now that we are back to screen porch weather, this is a great thing to take out and relax in the morning with coffee and the birds, and life is going to be good again. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what's going to be going on. I wanted to also tell you that I have been giving this whole virtual experience, Morning Melody, another opportunity to work. And I had said last week that I had tried to wave at people as I'm doing it. For the people I missed. Wanting to convert some of the things over to a digital format. And this is going to work for guilds who are going to be looking to do digital and virtual meetings. I have my first virtual guild meeting tonight, which will be very interesting, and I'm sure I will learn a lot by the time tonight is over. We're going with Zoom. I've done a lot of research on Zoom since we last spoke, and I am going to be using that as a starting point for some of the classes that I'm going to be converting. And I will be putting an announcement out later today on Facebook that I'm actually going to convert the first of the presentations that I do for guild format. It's called 10 Quilters You Should Know and Why. It's a contemporary history of the modern American quilt movement that I did, basically taking how we got from an art that died out or almost entirely died out after the Second World War to now looking forward to, we have all of the fabulous choices that we've had, and we've got technological advances as well, and sort of telling the story about how people get together and all of that. It's one of my more popular stories, presentations for guilds. It's fun, it's informative, you will learn something. I can promise you that, because if you thought that this movement started with the bicentennial in 1776, you're about 20 years late. And I will be happy to tell you about who and what and why and do all of that stuff. So I'm going to be converting that over to a digital format and doing a mailing for guilds. So that as they're looking at their presentations for the coming year, if they're going to be going to a digital format, or if they're looking for something that would be of interest to their members, this is something, it's well researched, it's got a lot of factually accurate information and tidbits in there. I can see a scenario happening where this will be expanded for digital formats. You'll get some more content for it. But I'm also going to be putting it out there as a Zoom class, so that you can take it individually as opposed to by doing it with the guild and all of that such. It will allow me to hone my meeting skills as a Zoom person. One of the things that I use with Zoom is because as I have been looking with people and talking with people and hearing group meetings and different things, the number one way that people were doing this was using Zoom. So it's a platform that you're already familiar with. It's already something that you can use. This is going to be an adaptation, so it's going to be a little bit of a different format. I love history. I'm a history buff, and I'm kind of interested to see how this is all going to play out. So that'll be going out as a Facebook Live presentation. It lasts about an hour, and it's going to have an introductory price of it of $15. My hope is that I will get people that will hear it, enjoy it, working with it, and I'm waving to more people, and come back and take the information back to their guilds and say, hey, I saw this great person, she's local, we can do, such like that, because I do have to replace income that I have lost because guild meetings have been canceled and rescheduled, and I think that's going to be going on for a while. I also have Elastic that is coming in. Hasn't arrived yet. It'll be going up on my website when it gets here. I have some more information. Morning, Patty. Coming in for this as well. So kind of tiptoeing myself into this. I kind of jumped in the way that I do. And now it's sort of like I'm over the terrifying part of it. I've gotten used to seeing what I look like on a camera screen. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to look like Jennifer Aniston. It is interesting because I am worried about, hey, Carolyn, another friend popped. Oops. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm a legend. Kind of working with all of this. And it's kind of interesting to kind of see how this is going to work out. Once I get 10 quilters you should know and why up, there are others that will convert. I have a few other items that I'm bringing out. There are some of the ones that I teach that won't necessarily translate well into this initially. So we'll kind of take off and see how this is going to be. You'll see that as a Facebook Live. There's going to be going out to my mailing list. I get a funny comment, and I can actually read the comments here, so this tripod thing is working. January's comment is, you're too funny, getting used to what we all look like on video. It's a huge learning curve. My hair is longer now than it has ever been in my lifetime. Literally, if you go back through all of my school pictures, all of my pictures were always, I had short hair. This is ridiculous. I'm fortunate that I had given up the dye a while ago, but this is really hard to do. I have left the house with it in ponytails. I have left the house with it in pigtails. I am over it, and I cannot wait to get to a hairdresser because this is too long for even me to deal with this. When I had a granddaughter, I thought it would be a lot of fun that we could sit there and we could braid each other's hair and we could have fun together. And Hadley wants nothing to do with it. She's like, yeah, okay, Nana, no, we're good. So I'm looking forward to when I can get back and dealing with it. I also realize this is really small problems, and in the greater cosmic scheme of things, if this is my biggest issue in life, I am good. I am healthy. My family is healthy. It's really what the big, is just kind of doing it. But truly, when I set out to open this business, I never expected that video would be part of it. So, and here I am killing it. So you just kind of wait and see. The last thing that I want to do is, before I wrap it up, and I'm pleased to see so many of you here, this 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning thing seems to be working, is I want to wish everybody Happy Nurses Week and Happy Nurses Day, and to tell you a story. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before, but I'm not only the daughter of a nurse, but I'm the granddaughter of a nurse. And my grandmothers were nanas, which is how I became a nana. My grandmother Stewart was the nurse in the family, and I have seen recent pictures of her within a few years of where I am now, maybe. Gonna just kind of put that out there. I always thought I looked like my mother's side of the family, and boy, am I a Stewart and a Brown through and through, because my cousin Irene sent me pictures of it, and I look just so much like my grandmother. It's not Grandmother Stewart, who was the crafty grandmother. So this is actually grown up with nurses. I've grown up going in and out of Mass General to drop my mother off for work. Many times you guys are doing yeoman's work. I am happy to donate masks for our frontline workers. I'm happy to make meals for them. I can't give them a hug, which is the hard part of it, but we would be nowhere if we didn't have them. So I know a lot of quilters are nurses, know nurses, daughters, sisters, mothers of nurses, and I just want to take a moment to acknowledge today how important they are to all of us, to keeping us healthy and all of that. If you have any questions about anything I'm working on, questions about it, I'm looking for direction in terms of where to take the channel next. Are you looking for more tutorials? Are you looking for more calendar? I do have additional patterns and stuff coming down the pike. The pike seems to be getting longer, but we can see the exit ramp on it. I'd love to hear from you guys how you're seeing a lot of content out there. What are you not seeing that you'd love to see? What niches, and how can I help you out with it? That kind of feedback will give me some editorial help. I just read a comment, and that's in the mix and such like that. It's in the mix with the with the blog content, to kind of meld it all together and layer on top of one another, so that the Facebook Lives meld in with the blogs, meld in with the newsletter, works in with the whole pattern thing. So there actually is a grand plan, but in terms of fleshing out some of the details, I appreciate feedback, appreciate criticism when it's constructive, and go from there. If you have a business channel and you are looking for the same kind of information or some feedback or some networking opportunity, I would love to connect up with you guys, because this is a completely different landscape from anything we ever saw. I've seen some businesses that don't have online stores and are still killing it. I've seen businesses that are struggling with the whole concept of moving to the new format, and would love to, connect. And it's called networking, when we're actually able to go out to a bar and meet and, have a nosh, but we can do different things there. I've actually learned, and believe it or not, participate in a Thirsty Thursday happy hour with one of my friends. We have a regular appointment now, Thursday at 5:00. We both sit down with our video cameras and a glass of wine, and we just visit, and it's kind of cool. So a lot of different ways we can do that. I'm going to wrap today up. Thank you all for taking time to come with me and see what's going on. And you will also know we're not doing chocolate martini Sally. There's just not enough, I'm not doing a cooking channel too. That's not happening. But anyway, it's a fabulous day. I'm going out for a walk and get some fresh air. And I hope you have a fabulous day too. I will talk to you later. And thank you for spending some time with me.